Welcome to Porch Play Chat, sponsored by the American Association for Promoting the Child's Right to Play, or a shortened version, IPA-USA. IPA-USA is the USA affiliate of the International Play Association. And you can find more about IPA World at ipaworld.org. 23 countries are dedicated to promoting play in their countries. As part of our efforts to promote play in the United States, Porch Play Chats are our way of sharing conversations with experts who are just as passionate about play as we are. And you can find the latest Porch Play Chats and learn more about IPA USA by going to our website at IPA-USA.org. In that top right-hand corner, you have access to our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, and our Instagram. Every Monday, a new Porch Play Chat is released. And so if you become friends on Facebook, you'll immediately get a notification, or it's also on our YouTube channel. So I hope that you'll watch more Porch Play Chats. After this series, we'll have 67 for you to choose from, and they're all free to anyone who wants to listen. So Wendy Ruiz is our Porch Play Chat person today. And Wendy is got her Master's of Science from the University of La Verne in Child Development and Child Life. She has, and I have to tell you, Wendy, I use PITC videos all the time. She's her training and certifications include PITC, which is the Program for Infant and Toddler Caregivers, which is an amazing program out of West Ed in California. And RIE, which is Resource for Infant Educators. Did I get that acronym right?
Yeah, educators.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Educators, yes. And I use Magna Gerber's videos from RIE all the time too in my college classes. And so as we are thinking about today, currently Wendy is the Director of Early Childhood Programs for Maker Learning Network. And of course, she has many passions that include the quality of infant and toddler play-based curriculum and sensory and open-ended experiences and on and on. So today, Wendy's really, her topic that she selected is letting children be children and creating a child-centered experience for them. And I think we have just lost that. We have, you know, the whole Porch Play Chat series today and yesterday has really been about, we've lost our way. We've forgotten what's important because we're so focused on all these outrageous expectations and push down curriculum and getting children ready.
Getting them ready.
That has really made us lose our way and I mean, we're the last line of defense, early childhood, really. We have to be doing a better job of giving these children experiences that will last a lifetime. So how do we do that?
That's a good question. What we try to do in our programs is we always ask, it's who is this for? You know, it's child first. So whenever we're making a decision in our program, whether it's from about the classrooms or about policies and procedures or whatever, it's always, but is this for the children? Yes. Because it's, you know, if it's not about them, then who is it for? You know, we have to put on that lens of a child. We have to put on that lens of, if I were to walk into this classroom, would this be a space for me? You know, it's not a space to look perfect on a tour or to meet certain expectations. It's a place it's a home away from home, right? These children are, and I'm talking center-based, you know, these children are in centers. You know, we run a program that is open for working families. So they're there, they could be there from 6:30 in the morning till 6 at night. And so this has to be a home away from home for them. And often we make these decisions based off of not the children. You know?
Well, you know what I think already? I think the learning that I'm getting already is that if you believe in the value of play and play is important, that should be included in your mission.
Absolutely.
That should be included in your program's philosophy. That should be included in the vision that you have for children. And then that should be the decision maker. Everything should be, how does this impact children's ability to play? How does this impact children's development?
How does it support their ability to be curious and to challenge themselves and to create a sense of wonder every day? You know, it should be a place where that play is their work, right? It's not, so they get to play. You know, often we get the question of, you know, 'cause I also teach community college, and often my students will say, well, what else do they do besides play? I'm like, but that's their work. So instead of saying, what are you going to play with? What are you going to work with today? You know, how are you going to incorporate that? How are you going to use those materials? In what way? And and it's based off their passions. You know, something that we really are proud of in our spaces is that every classroom looks different, because it's not about, yes, developmentally appropriate. You need to make sure things are developmentally appropriate, but before that, you need to make sure they're individually appropriate. Does Johnny, what does Johnny love? What is he passionate about? And then what is Mary passionate about? Okay, so now we're going to find these things, bring them into the classroom, and then make them developmentally appropriate, right? But first it's, you know, it's not, it's June, so we're going to talk about the beach this week.
Oh, yes, please. Yes.
What if they don't care about the beach? What if they don't, you know, what they care about? They care about playing in the mud, and they care about getting wet. Oh my gosh, they just want to be wet all day. They just want to play in the water all day. And they care about painting their faces and their arms so it's providing experiences that infuse play, of course, but meaningful play, you know, so that it is their work. And it's, again, based off of if they were to walk into the classroom, what would they want to see? What would they want to experience? And how do we support that? How do we show them that their passions are valuable and that their voice is valuable?
And I think that's it, that sense of agency, that their voice, their interests, their curiosity is important. And that should be the foundation of all curriculum. You know, Ben Boss said, the child is the curriculum. So
yes.
Stop paying for those god-awful expensive curriculums. All you need to do is focus on the children, and they'll lead the way for you in what they're interested in learning more about.
Curriculums weren't created by children.
No.
You know, we interview people who are going to work for us, and they ask, well, what kind of curriculum do you use? And I say, that's up to you. You know, we empower our facilitators to create that space because they know the children in their space. I can't determine that for them. Yes, I'm in the center. Yes, I know these learners, but I don't know them like you know them. So I hired you because you are capable of designing a play experience for them, different than the child in the next classroom. You know, the teacher in the next classroom, the facilitator, they're going to create it for them. I don't hand my facilitators a box and say, pick some activities.
Right.
Your children are the box. Your children are telling them, this is what we love. This is what we're passionate about. Provide that.
And if you just listen to children instead of trying to direct their learning, it is an amazing transformative process for a facilitator, educator, whatever title you use for them, because then they recognize the power that is within each child to use that internal drive that they have of what they're curious about. They are internally driven.
Yes.
To move to the next developmental milestone, regardless of what chronological age they are. But we sometimes prevent them from achieving that next step because we're too busy teaching them.
We are, and based off of some chart or some graph in a textbook, like I tell our families, you know, they say, oh, well, what about these milestones? And I say, your child hasn't read that textbook. She doesn't know what milestone she's supposed to be at. She's just where she's supposed to be, and we're here to support her. A big thing about our program is we don't require children to be toilet learned. And so, you know, and we try to explain it in the same way that just like I wouldn't expect an infant to walk before they can walk, why should I expect a child to pee in a toilet before they can go in a toilet? So it's, you know, it's that children they didn't read the books. They're just being themselves. And so our job is to meet them where they're at, not prepare them for where we want them to be.
Oh, and I think that's beautiful. And we should
so
write an
much.
article about that. Meet them where they are, not where you think they need to be in the future. Because I think that's where we lose our joy of teaching, right? Because
Yes.
we're so busy getting them ready that all the focus and pressure and fear and push down makes us lose the joy of
Yeah.
being with children and watching them develop. Instead, we feel like we have to force it.
Yeah, they get one thing, you're like, great, okay, what's next? And I mean, it's, it's all Magda Gerber, right? That's her, she's
All Magna
definitely,
Gerber.
it's not how they get there. I mean, it's not when they get there, it's how they get there, right? And it's, if you're always worried about the next step, they're never going to succeed, right? They'll never hit because there's always something new to accomplish, instead of just, wow, marveling in that, that beautiful experience of a 6-month-old or a 7-month-old or a 15-year-old, whatever it is. They all are hitting things at different stages of their life. But if we provide those experiences child-centered, then they're going to get what they are supposed to get out of it. It's not up to us to determine it. And it's harder for our facilitators, sure, because they have to trust the process, and they come to us so used to this box theory that they can't look outside the box, and they want us to hand them the answers. And we always tell them, we're not here to hand you the answers. We hired you because you have the answers. The children are going to provide them if you don't have them. And so that's, and it's hard for them, but then they also, I tell them, like, we respect the learners to have a voice, but we also, how can we not do that if we don't respect the facilitators to have a voice as well and to have their own ideas? And so we have to, it's the same process, but sometimes that kind of scares them.
I'm sure.
Facilitators.
Well, and I think they get scared because they've always been told what to do and how to do it, right? Especially those that are just entering the teaching field. Just the public school system or even the private school system has been the drill and kill. This is how you do it. This is the steps you follow. This is the outcome you'll get. This is what you'll do next. And so it is alien to them, because especially the generations that are coming into teaching now may not have ever been able to play outside for 8 hours a day. Right?
My heart. It hurts my heart.
It hurts my heart. And so when I ask them where they played as a child, they'll say on the playground at the childcare program. Did you play in the classroom? Oh, no. Oh, no. And so that's the experience that they're then using as a lens.
Right. And what kind of play was that on the playground? Was it true play, or was it just a climbing structure? And teachers think, oh, I don't have to set any curriculum up outside because they'll play with, and I'm like, are you kidding? No, they need books, and they need art, and they need music, and they need dress up, and they need everything outside. The outside is a classroom. Where do we get
And they need more than 30 minutes a day.
Oh, yes. They need at least an hour and a half, if not more, hopefully. I get that schools share yards, and I get with COVID, they have to leave the yard and another group comes and all of that. But they need at least, I mean, I try to, I kind of compare it to, I don't know, I love to scrapbook. And so when I'm scrapbooking, it takes me I can't scrapbook in 30 minutes. I can't scrapbook I need time to plan my ideas and my thoughts and put it all out there and get my juices going. Children need the same. They need that time to figure out what they want to do and then change their mind and do something else and then start that process all over again. And for us to tell them, sorry, you gotta go.
Yeah, gift of time. And so when I talk to students and I talk to teachers and facilitators, I always say what the biggest gift you can give them is the gift of time.
I love
time to explore, time to be curious, time to discover. And forget the stupid clock on the wall. It's an inanimate object. Why are you paying more attention to that than you are to children? And, sometimes it's those shocking messages that they go, oh, I hadn't thought about it that way, because I have to.
11:35 and I need to go, Yeah. Like, no,
Yeah.
the children tell you. And I love watching, like the other day, one of our facilitators, the children were just bouncing off the walls. And she said, okay, they're showing me they need to go outside.
Mhm.
And you're right. And so she took them out, even though it was almost lunchtime. She's like, I'm just going to give them a few minutes just to get their, everything out. And then they're telling me they need this because they're literally bouncing off the walls.
Right.
It's if you just listen and observe, unfortunately, teachers now, and the reason I'm using teachers, not facilitators, is because teachers now, unfortunately, get so bogged down with all the paperwork and they have to complete this and they have to check off this box and they have to send this message to parents and they have to that they don't have time to focus on to actually just sit with children and observe and play. And I came from I used to run a state funded program for a long time, and DRDPs and INDERs and ECHRs, and don't get me wrong, I see the value in all of those, but now that I'm in a private program, my staff are like, well, are we going to do those? Are we going to do assessments? Are we going to do, and I'm like, nope. Right now, you're just going to play and observe your children. That's what you get to do. And trust me, you know what they're learning. You know what when you go to fill out your assessment to give to parents, you know it. You don't have to take all day to chart and to check off boxes. You know these learners. So, but you're going to know them even more by just taking time to be with them. Like, that's all. Yes. I don't want you like doing all the busy work. I want you just to act. And they're blown away. One of the facilitators we got, she's like, really, I'm not going to get in trouble for sitting on the floor and play. No, in fact, you're going to be encouraged to sit on the floor and engage with your learners. Like, that's your job.
It's like and that's why I think iLead is such a powerful organization, because you don't just do it in infants rooms or toddler rooms or preschool rooms or kindergarten. You do it in first grade and second grade and middle school and secondary. And I think other people see the value in doing that. I mean, think of all the project-based learning and time for children to explore and be able to come up with new ideas and to move through those new ideas. It's that kind of curriculum building based on what children are interested in learning more about that gets them to be able to be actively engaged, as well as to deepen their learning on a topic. So how would you help other administrators who might be interested in being more play-based? Mm-hmm. And I don't even want to say play-based, it should just be play, right?
Right.
How can we help them convince families and convince their teachers? What little nuggets can we share?
So what age are you referring to?
So I don't really care. What if I'm a superintendent of a public school system? So,
yeah, that's been hard, definitely for, I've been with iLead for over 10 years, and as a parent and a board member, and then now I work with them. And that's always been a struggle because while you may not see it, it's not as tangible, right, to use play or project-based or however to focus on their interests and their passions. It's what we're trying to do really in our school system is create a lifelong love of learning, right? To create this fuel in them, this fire that is going to take them way above and beyond for jobs that don't even exist yet.
Correct.
And how do we teach them in a box when their job isn't in that box? Mm-hmm. So it's finding ways to, it's like with one of my sons, he's been there since kindergarten. Now he's going into 11th grade. And he, school is, it's all he's known. So he's always had a voice in his schooling. He's always been able to follow his passion. Even as young as, I think he was 8 years old, and they had to do a project on, I think it was like volcanoes and all of that. And what I love is it's not a written report. It's a presentation of learning where they share their passion and they share what they learn, and you get to hear them from the deepest dirt, like, this is what I know about this, right? And it's not what I memorized from a book or It's what I know. And so he told his teachers, I don't really want to do a poster board. I'd like to show my Minecraft, what I built in Minecraft and how I created those same environments. And so what is it? And they did this outside. So they allowed him to bring his projector. They helped him set it up. He had a screen and he showed his Minecraft world. And it wasn't a poster board, but to hear him talk about it, you could see he named all the characteristics. He named every piece that he needed to learn. He had it. I don't know if he knew he learned it, but he learned it, right? And because it was his passion. And so it's, if we allow the learners to dig deep into their passion, the learning's going to come. You know, I do this activity in my adult classes where it's the cookie jar activity where we layer it with chocolate chip cookies. And the chocolate chip cookies are the play. It's the sense of wonder. It's the curiosity. And then the rice, backwards. The chocolate chip cookies are they need to learn academics. They need to learn their numbers and their letters, and they need to be able to write their name and read this many pages and blah, blah, blah. And those are all that we have to make sure they get all of these standards in. And then you pour the rice in, and the whole thing is the rice is filters all through
Filters all the way through.
And if you start with the academics, you don't have any room for the rice. That's the problem, is you don't have room for the play and the sense of wonder and all. But if you start with the play, right? If you start and then it all I got it backwards, but then it all filters in, it all fits. So we have to start with the sense of wonder. We have to start with their passions. We have to start with what do they believe in? Because all the rest will come. The play, the learning comes, the academics comes. It comes when they're ready. It may not come when you want it to be there, but it comes when they want it to be there. And we just have to be patient. It's going to look different. We tell our families it looks different. This program may not be for every parent, but it is for every learner. And because we are designed for them, while most programs are designed for the administrators or for the policymakers, or we're designed for the child. That's who we are for. And if we focus on them, they're going to get what they need to get. And if they don't get it, everything else falls. If they don't get it, it's not because it wasn't the right program. It's because they just aren't ready for it.
Right.
People say, well, how are you going to, because, we don't require in our preschool, we don't require them to sit crisscross applesauce and sit during group time. They can, roam around. They don't even have to do group time if they can go do an activity or something. And they say, well, how are you going to prepare them to sit at group time in kindergarten? But they're not in kindergarten yet. And so when they get there, if they're ready, they'll do it. And if they aren't ready, it's not because we didn't prepare them. It's because they're just not ready. And so we just need to accept that. And then how do we meet that? Instead of preparing them for us, we need to be prepared for them. And what are you going to do when that learner is not ready to sit crisscross applesauce? Because I'm going to tell you, it's not because we didn't prepare him. It's just because his body doesn't learn that way. Children don't learn crisscross applesauce. They learn by fidgeting and moving. And, in my adult classes, I have fidgets on every table. They fidget all class. They need to, right? They need to touch it, or they need to explore, because I know their minds are working better if they're moving. But but we feel schools feel, no, they need to sit and listen and pay attention. And how many of us do that? I don't sit, and I'm multitasking all the time.
And I think the power of what you're saying is great lessons for educators, directors, administrators who really want to give parents a different lens to look through. If we honor each child's individuality, if we follow each child's passion, if we listen and scaffold when we see opportunities, and if we allow them to do what they want to do in the way that they choose to do it, not the way we prescribe, it is amazing what happens.
Oh my gosh.
It's amazing.
It's beautiful to see.
It is. And I think that's where what teachers are missing, because they don't feel like they can do this. I don't think it's because they don't want to. I think it's because they don't feel like they can. And so they need to feel more empowered. And the other big piece, I've taught graduate programs forever and long ago in a land far, far away. In graduate programs, we did a whole thing on advocacy, advocating for yourself, advocating for families, advocating for children. That is no longer in graduate programs. There's leadership where I'll throw in advocacy, but, and in my families, communities, and children course, I put in advocacy, but there is no standard for advocacy. And so these people do not feel empowered to take a risk because maybe in their childhood they didn't have opportunities to. And maybe in their higher education programs, they weren't provided the importance of advocating for yourself and others. That I feel like we have people who feel like they have to do what they're told instead of taking a risk.
I think there's a fear that if they put the if they put the control in the hands of the children, then they've failed. Then they can't handle that losing control. They have to they want to see when they do an assignment, 35 poster boards, because then they know they got it right and they know the children are hitting the standards. But I honestly think they're afraid of giving up control and giving up that because it's messy. Learning is messy. True learning is really all over the place and hard to see and organized chaos, but it's meaningful and engaging, and it's something they're going to remember. I mean, my son's going to remember that Minecraft project way longer than he would remember any poster board that he stuck some stuff on and cut out. But it's hard for teachers to let that go, and administrators to let that go, because it doesn't guarantee results, right? It doesn't. But neither does this box, Scantron learning. That doesn't guarantee results either.
It doesn't. I remember I was working with a group of kindergarten teachers, and I said, what do children need to learn by the end of kindergarten? And they filled up 2 whiteboards. They all got up, everything, all up there on these whiteboards. And when they sat back down, I said, what percentage of the children in your classroom learn all of that? And they looked at me and they put their heads down. And I said, it's okay. What percentage? And they said, probably 10%. And I said, so you're teaching to 10%? Is that what is that what I'm hearing from you? That everything that you're doing, all the work that you're putting in, all the structure that you're putting in is only 10%, working with 10% of the children? And they put their heads down again. When you put it that way. So when I said, here's something to think about. So I took all their stuff and I went over to chart paper over here and I said, here's an activity that is child-centered, child-initiated, blah, blah, blah. And I just did a scenario up there and I said, which of these standards did that scenario meet of one child's play experience? And they said, oh my God, I see 10. I said, yeah. And I said, that's one example of a child's play experience. Now, let's think of something you've seen children do. Now, how many standards did that? And that's how I got them to say, oh, maybe what we're doing is not meeting the needs of every child. Maybe we're only meeting the needs of 10% of the children, and maybe not even that. So it is, I think it's helping them. It's helping them see what they're doing and what the results actually are, that there are no guarantees that all the children are going to walk out of kindergarten having met all the kindergarten standards, because that's not what we know about.
What adult does that? None of us do that. None of us fit into a box. We don't want them to. None of us are the same. We're all so different. But yet why do we expect them to be the same for all of elementary school and junior high school? I don't understand that. And then send them into a world where it's so not.
Well, yeah. And we all have different experiences before we walk in.
Yeah. very much.
We all have different prenatal experiences. We all have different early childhood years experiences. We all have, there's no way we can all be the same. We would be robots, not humans.
Right.
So as we're finishing up, because oh my goodness, we've been talking a while, but as we, which has been wonderful, and we could talk forever.
Yeah, we could. That'd be fun.
as has been, you know, what I think we need to reframe is, and I use this phrase with superintendents and principals, and the very first thing I ask them is, I want you to work with your team at the table, and I want you to describe to me a classroom where teachers teach, and versus a classroom where children learn. And I want you to list the differences. And they all, and I mean, they get right to work. And then when we put it all up, everybody puts up their classrooms where teachers teach, and then they put up classrooms where children learn. They are very different. And I'll say, which one do you promote in your school? And then they go, you know, but I think that's what we always have to ask ourselves. Is this a classroom where teachers teach, or is this a classroom where children learn? And we need to be focusing on what makes
The
children learn in their own way.
Always about the children, no matter the age
Always.
or the setting, or yeah.
Always.
And children don't learn in, and that's one thing I do love about ILEAD is they don't have to learn in a desk and a table, and they sit in beanbag chairs, and they sit in the hall, and they spread out. And one time my son came home and he's like, I need a really big pillow. And I said, for what? And he said, well, our teacher told us we could bring pillows to class so we could be more comfortable. I was like, all right, let's do it. You know, like, bring your pillow, because that's how they're going to learn. They're not going to learn it. You know, how often do we sit at, you know, at a desk and then stare at a teacher at the front who thinks she knows everything, when they don't know everything? You know, they know what they know, but what do the children know? Let's ask them. Let's find out what they know, because it's amazing if you just give them the opportunity. It's just,
and recognize that it's not about you, it's about them. That, I think, is the other big piece.
that is so hard for them.
It is so hard for them. That's why I want to do all the, I love Christmas, so I want to do all the Christmassy things. And I said, it's not about you. What if my family doesn't celebrate Christmas? What if my family isn't religious? What if my family...
And you only know about your Christmas. You don't know about everyone else's Christmas or whatever else they do or whatever. Yeah, it's there's so much. I mean, same thing as like, you don't know everything there is about the beach or about the farm. The farm. Why do we need to teach about the farm? Goodness sakes. Or, you know, it's like, these are, I mean, I get you have to start with your comfort and you have to start with where you're, you know, but then we're missing out on so much, because you have, depending how many children you have in your class, you have so many ideas and so much passion. And it's, yeah. And if children can start at young age of like preschool, infant, toddler, of learning about their passion, just think how much passion they're going to have when they're in elementary, high school, like, and that's what we need, to look at the jobs coming into the world right now. They are completely outside of the box. They are, oh my gosh, I could never even imagine those jobs. So but they are, but yet we're telling them, no, that your imagination, your creativity is not going to work for here. It won't, you're not going to check off the boxes that we need to check off.
Your innovation, your initiative, which is everything that employers tell us they're missing. Your ability to interact with a team in a socially acceptable manner.
Work with others? What? You have to work with others? No, that's not.
Oh my. So Wendy, this has been amazing. Stay right there while I close this up. So to see more Porch Play Chats or to learn more about IPA, please visit our website at IPA-USA.org. And until next time, keep on playing.